The app notification lit up Zara Mitchell's phone at 11:47 p.m., the chime cutting through the silence of her idling car. New delivery request. $45 tip. Accept? Her thumb hovered over the screen. $45 for a single delivery was unusual, suspicious, even. But her bank account had $23 in it. Her daughter's daycare payment was due Friday, and the electricity bill had already gone to collections once this month. She accepted. The address took her to the kind of high-rise that didn't belong in her delivery route, all glass and steel and doormen in uniforms that probably cost more than her monthly rent. The Meridian Tower. 24 floors of luxury condos where tech executives and old money lived in climate-controlled comfort, completely insulated from the streets below. Zara had delivered here exactly 3 times in the past year. Each time, she'd been treated like she was invisible, a necessary inconvenience. Like the mail or the trash pickup, the residents never made eye contact, never said thank you, just took their food and closed their doors in her face. The penthouse. Of course it was the penthouse. She grabbed the bag of Korean takeout from the passenger seat, bulgogi, kimchi jjigae, an array of banchan sides that had made her stomach growl when she'd picked them up. The restaurant receipt showed $180 for food that would feed a family of 4. One person's midnight snack was more than Zara spent on groceries in a week. The November wind cut through her thin delivery jacket as she jogged from her car to the building entrance. The lobby was all marble and modern art, with a doorman stationed behind a desk that looked like it belonged in a spaceship. He glanced at her company logo and waved her through without a word. She might as well have been a ghost. The elevator was mirrored on all sides, forcing Zara to confront her reflection from every angle. She looked exhausted, dark circles under brown eyes that used to sparkle, natural hair pulled back in a practical bun that desperately needed maintenance, the cheap polyester jacket that never quite kept out the cold. At 28, she looked 35. Poverty aged you faster than time. The elevator chimed softly as it climbed, numbers ticking upward with excruciating slowness. 18. 19. 20. Zara's phone buzzed. A text from her ex, Marcus. Nyla's asking for you. Wants to say goodnight. Her heart clenched. She'd see her daughter in 4 days when her week with Marcus ended. But 4 days felt like forever when you were used to tucking your baby in every single night. Tell her mommy loves her, Zara typed back. Kiss her for me. 23. 24. The elevator doors opened onto a hallway that was silent and carpeted in something thick enough to swallow sound. Only 2 doors, penthouse east and penthouse west. Her delivery was west. Zara approached the door, her sneakers silent on the expensive carpet. She knocked once, twice, using the practiced rhythm that said, "Delivery driver, not a threat." No answer. "Delivery," she called out, keeping her voice professional but loud enough to be heard through the heavy door. "I have your food order." Still nothing. She checked her phone. The customer listed only as K. MIN had specifically requested she bring the food directly to the door. No lobby drop-off. She'd even been given a door code for building access, though the doorman had waved her through before she'd needed it. Zara knocked again, harder this time. "Sir? Ma'am? I have your delivery from Soul Kitchen." That's when she heard it. A baby crying. Not the fussy, tired crying of an infant ready for sleep, but the desperate, terrified wailing of a child in distress. The kind of crying that made Zara's maternal instincts flare to life, overriding every other consideration. Her hand moved to the door handle before her mind could stop her. It turned, unlocked. Every instinct screamed at her to leave, to set the food down outside the door, take a photo proving delivery, and get back to her car. To mind her own business and collect her $45 tip and forget whatever was happening on the other side of this door. But that baby was screaming now, raw, desperate sounds that spoke of hours of neglect. And Zara had been a mother long enough to know the difference between a child who was uncomfortable and a child who was genuinely terrified. She pushed the door open. "Hello? I'm coming in. Your door was unlocked and I can hear." The words died in her throat. The penthouse was magnificent. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the city lights like a private galaxy. The furniture looked like modern sculpture, all clean lines and expensive fabrics. Art hung on the walls, pieces that Zara recognized vaguely from coffee table books she'd flipped through during her brief stint at community college. Each painting probably cost more than her car, but none of that registered beyond a peripheral glance. What registered was the man. He sat slumped against the white leather couch, one hand pressed against his left side where dark blood seeped between his fingers, soaking through what had once been a crisp white dress shirt. His other arm cradled an infant, maybe 6 months old, who was crying with the kind of intensity that came from being ignored for far too long. The man's head lolled to the side, his face pale beneath golden-brown skin and sharp, aristocratic features. Korean, probably late 30s, with the kind of bone structure that would have made him devastatingly handsome if he wasn't currently bleeding out on his living room floor. His black hair was disheveled, falling across his forehead. His suit jacket lay discarded on the floor nearby, expensive fabric crumpled and forgotten. Blood pooled on the pristine hardwood beneath him, dark and spreading. His eyes cracked open as she stood frozen in the doorway. Dark brown, nearly black, struggling to focus through obvious pain and blood loss. "Leave," he said in English, his accent thick and precise. Korean, definitely. Each word seemed to cost him physical effort. "Take baby. Leave, please." Zara's nursing school training 2 years before she'd had to drop out when Nyla was born, and the money ran out kicked in before fear could paralyze her. She dropped the delivery bag on the floor, its contents forgotten, and crossed the room in 4 strides. Her knees hit the hardwood as she knelt beside him, her hands already moving with practiced efficiency to assess the wound. "You're shot," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. Her fingers found the entry wound just below his left ribs, front side. She leaned to check his back, exit wound visible through the torn, blood-soaked shirt. Through and through. How long ago? 2 hours. He struggled to focus on her face. "Maybe 3. I am not certain. You need an ambulance. Hospital. You've lost too much blood." "No." The word came out with surprising force. His free hand, the one not holding the baby, shot out and grabbed her wrist with desperate strength. "No hospital. No police. You need to leave. They will come back." "Who will come back?" "Please." His grip tightened, fingers pressing into her wrist hard enough to bruise. Those dark eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. "Take her. Keep her safe. I am already dead." The baby's cries had quieted to exhausted, hiccuping whimpers, the child's small face red and blotchy with distress. Zara looked at the infant, a girl, based on the pink onesie, then at the man, then at the blood that continued to seep through his fingers. She should run, should pull her wrist free, grab her phone, call 911, and let professionals handle whatever criminal nightmare she'd walked into. Instead, she found herself saying, "You're not dead yet. And I didn't spend 2 years in nursing school just to watch someone bleed out in front of me." His eyes widened slightly, pain giving way to surprise. "You are nurse?" Couldn't afford to finish the program. She gently but firmly pried his blood-slick fingers away from the wound, examining it with the clinical detachment she'd learned in her trauma rotation. "The bleeding's slowing, which is good. Means you probably didn't hit any major arteries. But you need proper medical attention. Antibiotics, fluids, probably a transfusion. No hospital." His jaw clenched, the muscle jumping beneath his skin. "They have people everywhere. Police, hospitals, clinics. Hospital means death. For me. For her." Zara looked at the baby again, really looked this time. The child had finally quieted, exhaustion winning over distress. But her small face was still red and swollen from crying, her diaper sagged, clearly hours overdue for a change. And the way she nestled against the man's chest, even now, spoke of a bond that went beyond convenience. This wasn't a kidnapping. This was a father desperately trying to protect his daughter. "How long has she been crying?" Zara asked quietly. "Hours." The word came out broken. "Since before they came. I could not." He swallowed hard. "She needs formula. Changing. I have nothing here. No supplies." I thought, another swallow. I thought I would be dead before it mattered. Fear and adrenaline warred with something deeper in Zara's chest, a maternal instinct that couldn't ignore a child in danger, regardless of the circumstances. "I have supplies in my car," she heard herself say, the words coming out before her brain could veto them. "First aid kit from when I was doing clinicals. It's not much gauze, antiseptic, butterfly closures, but it's enough to stabilize you until we figure out next steps." "Why?" His eyes fixed on hers, with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "Why would you help me? You do not know me. You do not know what I am." "Because there's a baby who needs her father alive." Zara stood, her decision crystallizing into certainty even as her rational mind screamed at her to reconsider. "And because I'm apparently the kind of idiot who can't walk away from someone bleeding out. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get my supplies from my car. You're going to stay conscious and keep pressure on that wound. And then we're going to figure out how to keep all 3 of us alive long enough to get through tonight. Understand?" Something flickered in his expression, surprise, recognition, maybe respect. He studied her face like he was trying to memorize her features, like he needed to understand what kind of person would offer help to a stranger covered in blood. Finally, he nodded once, the movement sharp and decisive despite his obvious weakness. "Understand," he said. "But when you return, if you return, you should know what you are risking, so you can make informed choice. I'll take my chances." Zara was already moving toward the door. "Don't die while I'm gone." "I will try not to." She ran. "Welcome back, beautiful souls. Before we dive into tonight's story, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and comment where you're watching from. Seeing our community stretch across the world means everything and helps us continue bringing you these powerful stories of love, danger, and redemption. Now settle in, find your quiet space, and let me take you on a journey you won't forget. Zara made it to her car in what felt like seconds but was probably closer to 3 minutes. Her hands shook as she fumbled with her key fob, popping the trunk with trembling fingers. The emergency medical kit was exactly where she always kept it, in a plastic bin beneath her spare tire, surrounded by other emergency supplies. Blankets, flashlight, water bottles, granola bars, the accumulated paranoia of a single mother who couldn't afford for anything to go wrong. She grabbed the medical kit, a red canvas bag she'd assembled during her second year of nursing school, and restocked religiously even after dropping out. Gauze pads, surgical tape, antiseptic wipes, butterfly closures, sterile gloves, scissors. Not enough for proper treatment of a gunshot wound, but enough to maybe keep him alive until she could figure out what the hell she was doing. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. "Marcus again. She's asleep. Told her you love her. She made me promise you'd call tomorrow." "I promise," Zara typed back, then hesitated. "Marcus, if something happens, if I don't call tomorrow." Her thumb hovered over the screen. What could she even say? "If I die tonight helping a stranger, make sure Nyla knows I loved her. If I get murdered by whoever shot the guy in the penthouse, tell our daughter her mother was an idiot." She deleted the message unsent. Zara Mitchell had survived 28 years in this city. She'd survived an unplanned pregnancy at 23, being abandoned by her own parents when she chose to keep Nyla, dropping out of nursing school with crushing debt and no degree to show for it. She'd survived Marcus leaving when Nyla was 6 months old, survived homelessness, survived working 3 jobs simultaneously just to afford a studio apartment in the worst neighborhood she could find. She could survive this. She had to survive this, because Nyla needed her mother to come home. Zara slammed the trunk shut and sprinted back to the building, the medical kit bouncing against her hip with every step. The doorman didn't even look up this time. She might as well have been invisible. The elevator ride felt longer going up the second time. Her reflection in the mirrors showing a woman whose eyes were too wide, whose breath came too fast, whose hands wouldn't stop shaking no matter how hard she tried to steady them. "This is insane," her rational mind whispered. "You should call the police. Let professionals handle this. Walk away before you get killed." But the memory of that baby's cries, of the way the man had held his daughter even as he bled out, of the desperate protectiveness in his eyes that overrode every survival instinct she possessed. The penthouse door was still open, exactly as she'd left it. Zara pushed through, half expecting to find him unconscious or worse. Instead, she found him exactly where she'd left him, his eyes tracking her movement as she burst through the door. The baby had settled into fitful sleep against his chest, tiny breaths hitching with leftover sobs. But the blood pool beneath him had grown, spreading across expensive hardwood like a dark, accusing stain. "Still alive," he observed, his voice marginally stronger than before. "Barely." Zara dropped to her knees beside him, the medical kit landing with a thud as she began pulling out supplies. "I need you to let me take her." His arm tightened protectively around the infant. "No, I can't treat your wound properly with her in the way. She's safe. I'm not going to hurt her." Zara met his eyes steadily, willing him to see the truth in her expression. "But you need both hands free to keep pressure on the wound, and I need access to your entire torso to check for additional injuries. So unless you want to bleed out while holding her, you need to trust me." The word trust seemed to hit him physically. He stared at her for a long moment, his expression cycling through calculation, desperation, and finally, reluctant acceptance. "Her name is Minji," he said quietly, slowly relaxing his arm. "It means clever and wisdom in Korean. She is 5 months and 17 days old. Her mother died giving birth to her. She is," his voice cracked, "she is all I have left in this world." The raw grief in his voice made Zara's chest ache with recognition. She knew that kind of loss, the kind that carved you hollow and forced you to keep living anyway. "I'll take care of her," Zara said softly. "I promise." She lifted Minji with practiced ease, cradling the sleeping infant against her shoulder. The baby was small for 5 months, delicate, with a cap of fine black hair and features that suggested she'd be beautiful when she grew up. She stirred but didn't wake as Zara carried her to the leather couch and laid her carefully on the cushions, surrounding her with throw pillows to keep her from rolling. "What is your name?" the man asked as Zara returned to him, scissors in hand. "Zara Mitchell." She began cutting away his shirt, the expensive fabric yielding easily to the sharp blades. "And you are?" "Kang Min-ho." His accent shaped the syllables precisely. In Korean, family name comes first. "So I am Kang, not Min-ho to strangers." "Am I a stranger?" Zara peeled away the ruined shirt, revealing the full extent of the damage. Entry wound just below his left ribs, exit wound through his back. Clean through and through, relatively speaking, but he'd lost a dangerous amount of blood. "I'm currently cutting off your shirt and about to shove my hands into your bullet wound. Seems pretty intimate." That almost smile touched his mouth again. "Then you may call me Min-ho." "If you wish." "Min-ho it is." She pulled on sterile gloves, opened antiseptic wipes. "This is going to hurt. Everything already hurts. What is a little more?" She cleaned the wound with quick, efficient movements, her hands steady despite the adrenaline flooding her system. He hissed through his teeth but didn't pull away, his jaw clenching hard enough to make the muscles in his neck stand out like cables. "You have done this before," he observed through gritted teeth. "Trauma rotation. 2nd year of nursing school. We had to treat gunshot wounds on simulation dummies." Zara's fingers probed the edges of the wound carefully, checking for debris. "This is my first time doing it on an actual person who could die if I screw up. No pressure or anything. You are doing well." His eyes followed her hands. Very calm, very professional. "I'm screaming internally, but thank you." That startled a genuine laugh out of him, immediately followed by a grimace of pain. "Do not make me laugh. It hurts." "Then don't get shot." Problem solved. Zara applied pressure with gauze pads, checking the bleeding. It had slowed significantly, a good sign. "You're lucky. Bullet missed everything vital. Went clean through without hitting your stomach, intestines, or any major blood vessels. You'll hurt like hell for weeks, but you're probably going to live." "Probably." He caught the word. "Not definitely. Nothing's definite with trauma. You could still develop an infection, internal bleeding I can't see, a dozen other complications." She began packing the wound with clean gauze. "But your odds are better than they were 20 minutes ago. So there's that." "Why are you doing this?" "Zara Mitchell?" His eyes searched her face. "You could have called police. Could have left me to die. Why risk yourself?" Zara focused on taping the bandage, buying herself time to formulate an answer. Why was she doing this? There were 1,000 rational reasons to walk away, and not a single logical reason to stay. Finally, she said, 4 years ago I was 24 and pregnant and completely alone. My parents kicked me out when I told them I was keeping the baby. My boyfriend left the day after Nyla was born. I was living in my car, working at a gas station, trying to figure out how to keep us both alive. Her hands moved automatically, securing the bandage with practiced efficiency. A woman named Dolores worked the night shift at the gas station with me. She was 65, raising her grandson after her daughter died of an overdose. She had every reason to ignore me, we barely knew each other. But one night, she saw me crying in the bathroom during my break. She asked what was wrong. And when I told her, Zara's voice caught. She took me home with her, let me stay in her guest room for 3 months, helped me apply for assistance programs. Watched Nyla while I went to job interviews. She probably saved my life. She sounds like a remarkable woman. She was. She died 2 years ago. Heart attack. Zara sat back on her heels, meeting his eyes. Before she died, she told me that kindness was the only thing worth passing on in this world. That if someone had helped her when she was drowning, the least she could do was help someone else. Understanding dawned in Minho's expression. So you are paying it forward. Something like that? Zara started gathering her supplies. Plus, there's a baby involved. And I've never been able to walk away from a child in danger. Motherhood ruined me for self-preservation. You have a child. It wasn't a question. A daughter. Nyla. She's 3.5. Zara felt the familiar pang in her chest, the constant low-level anxiety of being separated from her child. She's with her father this week. I get her back Friday. You deliver food at midnight. Better tips than the day shift, and I can work around daycare hours. She pulled off the gloves, disposed of them carefully. The pay isn't great, but it's flexible, and I'm home when Nyla needs me. That's worth more than money. Minho studied her face for a long moment. You are stronger than you look. I've had to be. Zara glanced at Minji, still sleeping peacefully. Now, are you going to tell me why someone shot you? Or should I just assume you're a drug dealer with bad business partners? His expression shuddered, the moment of vulnerability closing off. It is complicated. I've got time. I just saved your life, least you can do is tell me why someone wants you dead. Minho was quiet for so long that Zara thought he wouldn't answer. Then he said, My father was Kang Dae-ho. He ran an organization import-export business, with some activities that were not entirely legal. When he died 3 years ago, I inherited leadership. Import-export business. Zara raised an eyebrow. That's a polite way of saying organized crime? Yes. No apology in his voice. No shame. We move goods that people want but cannot obtain legally. Weapons, occasionally. Protected gambling operations. Loan services for people the banks will not help. It is not pretty, but it is necessary. Necessary for who? For people like you. His eyes met hers. People who fall through cracks. Who need money fast and cannot wait for government assistance. Who need protection the police will not provide. The world is not black and white, Zara. Sometimes the criminals provide services the law cannot or will not. Zara wanted to argue, wanted to reject the moral relativism, but she'd lived in the cracks he described. She knew how the system failed people like her, knew how desperation made you compromise your principles just to survive. Okay, she said carefully. So you run a criminal organization. Someone in that organization decided to kill you. Why? That is what I need to discover. Minho's jaw tightened. I was called to an emergency meeting tonight. The location was secure, known only to my inner circle. When I arrived, 3 men were waiting with guns. Not my men hired assassins. But you survived. I survived because I am paranoid and well-trained. His hand moved unconsciously to the bandage. I killed 2 of them. The 3rd shot me as I fought my way out. I made it back here. Secured Minji from where my security detail had left her. Wait. Your security detail left her alone? Yes. The word was cold, clipped. I had left Minji with Park Ji-woo, my most trusted bodyguard. When I returned after the ambush, I found her alone in my bedroom, crying. Security footage showed Ji-woo leaving the building at 10:15 with 2 other men. No explanation, no warning. Understanding clicked into place with sickening clarity. Your own people betrayed you. Yes. Ji-woo has been with my organization for 8 years. I trusted him with my life, with Minji's life, and he abandoned her to die alone while assassins hunted me. Minho's voice was utterly emotionless, but his hands clenched into fists. That betrayal tells me something is very wrong within my organization. Someone high-ranking ordered my death and arranged for my security to fail. Who benefits from your death? Several people. My uncle, who has always believed he should lead. My second-in-command, who is ambitious. 3 of my captains who opposed my recent policy changes. He listed them off with clinical precision. I have been trying to modernize the organization, make it less violent, more strategic. Many see this as weakness. Modernizing a crime syndicate. Zara couldn't help the dry humor. Because that's a normal career goal. That almost smile again. I did not choose this life, Zara. I inherited it, but I am trying to make it less destructive, to minimize civilian casualties, reduce violence, focus on operations that harm no one. My father's way was brutal. I wanted something better, and someone decided better was too dangerous. Yes, someone who prefers my father's methods. Minho tried to sit up straighter, winced, and gave up, which means I am hunted by people who know all my safe houses, all my contacts, all my patterns. I have nowhere to go, and no one I can trust. The implications settled over Zara like a heavy blanket. She'd walked into the middle of a criminal power struggle, had made herself visible by helping him. Anyone looking for Minho would eventually find her, would know she'd helped him escape. She should run, should distance herself immediately, should. Minji made a soft sound in her sleep, a tiny baby noise that went straight to Zara's heart. She needs formula, Minho said, following her gaze. Diapers. I have nothing here. This was supposed to be temporary accommodation, while my main house was being renovated. I did not stock supplies for her. There's a 24-hour store 3 blocks from my apartment. The words came out before Zara could stop them. I have Nyla's old bottles. I kept them in case I had another baby someday. I can sterilize them, get formula and diapers. Your apartment. Minho's eyes sharpened. You are offering shelter? Was she? Zara's rational mind screamed at her to backtrack, to set firm boundaries, to help him with immediate medical care, and then disappear before the situation got worse. But she looked at Minji, vulnerable and innocent, and utterly dependent on the wounded man who loved her enough to kill for her protection. Looked at Minho, who'd somehow stayed conscious through blood loss and pain because his daughter needed him to survive. It's not much, she heard herself say. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, in a neighborhood that definitely didn't make the tourist brochures. But it's in a building where nobody asks questions. On a street where everyone minds their own business. You need a place to hide while you figure out who betrayed you. I have space. Why? The question again, but softer this time. Why would you risk everything for me? Zara thought about all the ways to answer. Thought about Dolores and kindness and paying it forward. Thought about being invisible her whole life. About how tired she was of keeping her head down and pretending not to see. Because someone saw me when I was drowning, she said finally. And I can't walk past someone else going under. Even if you're a criminal. Even if helping you might get me killed. I can't just walk away. That's not who I am. Minho held her gaze for a long moment. Then he said, very quietly, You are either the bravest person I have ever met, or the most foolish. Can't I be both? Yes, I believe you are both. He tried to smile, but pain turned it into a grimace. I accept your help, Zara Mitchell, but you should know once you are involved with me, with my world, there is no going back to invisible. Everyone who helps me becomes a target. Do you understand? She understood. Understood that she was about to cross a line she couldn't uncross. Understood that her life, her carefully constructed, barely functional, thoroughly ordinary life was about to shatter into something completely different. She understood, and she did it anyway. I understand, Zara said. Now let's get you to my car before you bleed all over my clean bandages. Getting Minho to Zara's car required creativity, determination, and a complete disregard for both their physical limitations. He was 6'2" and probably weighed 180 pounds of lean muscle. Zara was 5'5" and had arms that trembled after carrying Nyla up a single flight of stairs. But 4 years of solo parenting had taught her that impossible was just another word for difficult if you were stubborn enough. I can walk, Minho insisted, struggling to rise from the floor. You can barely sit up. Zara positioned herself at his uninjured side. Put your arm around my shoulders. I'll take as much of your weight as I can. You will hurt yourself. I've carried a screaming toddler, 2 bags of groceries, and a car seat up 3 flights of stairs. You're heavy, but you're not impossible. She braced herself, locked her knees. On 3. 1, 2, 3. They rose together, or more accurately, Minho rose while leaning heavily on Zara, who felt like her knees might buckle but somehow stayed upright through sheer determination. Minji, he said immediately, his eyes finding his daughter. I've got her. Zara helped him lean against the wall, then carefully scooped up the sleeping baby. Minji stirred but didn't wake, exhaustion keeping her under. Can you make it to the elevator? Yes. Minho pushed away from the wall, his jaw set with determination. I will make it. They moved through the penthouse with agonizing slowness. Each step seemed to cost Minho tremendous effort, but he never stopped, never asked to rest. His entire focus was on the baby in Zara's arms, making sure she was safe, making sure she was secure. The hallway felt longer than Zara remembered. The elevator took forever to arrive. They descended in silence. Minho's breathing labored, Zara's arms aching from holding Minji and supporting part of his weight. The lobby doorman looked up this time, took in the blood-stained bandages visible through Minho's torn shirt, the baby in Zara's arms, the way they moved together like refugees fleeing disaster. For a moment, Zara thought he might say something, might ask questions, might call the police, but this was the kind of building where rich people paid for privacy and discretion. The doorman's eyes slid away, returning to his phone like he'd seen nothing at all, invisible again. This time, Zara was grateful for it. The November air hit them like a slap, cold enough to make Minji whimper. Zara pulled her own jacket off and wrapped it around the baby, creating a makeshift blanket. My car is in the parking garage, Minho said. Section C, spot 47, black Mercedes S-Class. Keys are. He checked his pocket, came up empty. Gone. They must have fallen during the fight. We'll take my car. Zara guided him toward her ancient sedan. already dreading what he'd think of the rust bucket she called transportation. Minho looked at the car 15 years old. More rust than paint, with a passenger door that only opened from the inside and said nothing. Zara got him settled in the passenger seat, then secured Minji in the back using her delivery bag as a makeshift nest. It wasn't safe, wasn't legal, but it was all she had. "Where is the formula?" Minho asked as she started the engine. "I'll get it after we get to my apartment. First priority is getting you somewhere safe where you can rest. She is hungry, and she's been hungry for hours. Another 30 minutes won't kill her." Zara pulled out of the parking garage, checking her mirrors obsessively. "But you losing consciousness and bleeding out will definitely kill you, which won't help her at all." Minho subsided, recognizing the logic even as his eyes kept returning to his daughter. The drive to Zara's apartment took 20 minutes through empty streets. At this hour, the city belonged to delivery drivers, night shift workers, and people with nowhere else to go. Zara navigated with practiced ease, taking routes that avoided police patrols and traffic cameras. Minho noticed, "You are experienced at avoiding attention. When you're poor, you learn to be invisible. Cops pull you over for driving while broke. They assume you're up to something because your car looks like shit." Zara took a turn into her neighborhood, a place where streetlights were broken more often than functional, where buildings leaned like tired old men. Here, everyone's invisible. That makes it safe for people who need to hide. "This is where you live?" Minho looked at the crumbling apartments with something that might have been dismay. "This is where I can afford to live." Zara parked in her assigned spot, a cracked concrete space behind a building that had probably violated building codes since the 1972. "It's not the Meridian Tower, but the rent's cheap and the neighbors mind their own business." She killed the engine and turned to look at him. In the dim light from the street lamp, she could see how pale he'd become, how pain had drawn lines around his mouth and eyes. "Can you make it upstairs?" she asked. "Second floor? No elevator." "Yes." But his hands were shaking as he reached for the door handle. "You have to be sure. Because if you pass out on the stairs, I can't carry you the rest of the way, and I'm not leaving Minji alone in the car while I get help." Minho met her eyes. "I will make it. I promise you this." And somehow, impossibly, he did. It took 45 minutes to get Minho up one flight of stairs. They had to stop every 3 steps. Minho would lean against the wall, breathing hard, his face gray with pain and exertion. Zara stood beside him with Minji in her arms, whispering encouragement that felt increasingly hollow as they climbed. "Almost there. Just a few more steps. You're doing great." On the landing between floors, Mrs. Chen from 2B opened her door. She was 70, spoke minimal English, and had lived in the building longer than Zara had been alive. She took one look at them, blood-soaked bandages, crying baby, Zara's desperate expression, and closed her door again without a word. "She will call police?" Minho asked through gritted teeth. "No, Mrs. Chen survived the Cultural Revolution. She knows when to mind her own business." Zara adjusted Minji against her shoulder. "Come on. 5 more steps." They made it to the 2nd floor. Zara's apartment was 2D, 3rd door on the left. She fumbled with her keys one-handed, finally got the door open, and practically dragged Minho inside. The apartment looked even smaller with a 6'2" man bleeding in it. One main room that served as living room, dining room, and kitchen all at once. A tiny bedroom where Nyla's toddler bed took up most of the floor space. A bathroom barely large enough to turn around in. Toys scattered everywhere. Laundry piled in corners. The general chaos of a single mother who worked too many hours to keep up with housework. "Sorry about the mess," Zara said automatically. Minho didn't seem to notice the mess. His eyes swept the space with professional assessment, checking exits, windows, sightlines. There is only one door. One fire escape outside the window. On the 2nd floor. Not too high to jump if necessary. I wasn't thinking about tactical advantages when I signed the lease. I was thinking about whether I could afford the $650 monthly rent. It is good location. Minho swayed slightly. Defensible. Easy to monitor. No neighbors close enough to hear. He stopped, his face going even paler. "I think I need to sit." Zara got him to the couch, a second-hand piece she'd bought for $50 off Craigslist. She grabbed every pillow she owned, propping him into a semi-reclined position that wouldn't put pressure on his wound. Minji had started crying again, tired, hungry, overwhelmed. Zara looked between the baby and Minho, trying to calculate what needed attention first. "She needs food," Minho said. "Please, I can wait." "She cannot." Zara made a decision. I'm going to put her in Nyla's bed for now. She'll be safe there, surrounded by blankets. Then I'll run to the store, it's 3 blocks away. Maybe 15 minutes round trip. Can you stay conscious for 15 minutes? Yes, but you should not go alone. If they are searching for me, they're not searching this neighborhood. Zara was already moving, laying Minji carefully in Nyla's toddler bed. The baby's cries intensified, her small face scrunched with distress. I'm just a delivery driver who happened to help you. They have no way of connecting me to you. They will review security footage from the building. They will see you. The doorman didn't even look at me. That's what being poor and black means in this city. We're invisible until we're a threat, and I'm not a threat. She grabbed her wallet, keys. I'll be back in 15 minutes. Don't die while I'm gone. I will do my best. Minho's eyes were already closing. Zara? Yeah? Thank you. For everything. You did not have to. He swallowed hard. Thank you. She should have felt afraid. Should have felt the weight of what she'd gotten herself into. Instead, she felt something else entirely, a sense of purpose she hadn't experienced since before Nyla was born. Since before poverty and exhaustion had ground down her dreams into simple survival. Thank you for not dying, she said. It would have ruined my whole night. That got another almost smile. Then Zara was out the door, jogging through empty streets toward the 24-hour convenience store that catered to the neighborhood's night workers and insomniacs. The store was run by Mr. Park, a Korean immigrant who'd operated the same tiny shop for 30 years. He looked up as Zara burst through the door, breathing hard. Baby formula, she said. The good kind, for a 6-month-old. And diapers, size 3. Mr. Park's eyebrows rose. Your daughter is 3 years old. It's for a friend's baby. Emergency babysitting situation. He studied her face, the exhaustion, the desperation, the blood on her hands that she hadn't noticed until now. Then he turned without comment and pulled formula from the shelf behind the counter. This one, he said in heavily accented English. Gentle on stomach. My daughter used it for her son. Thank you. Zara grabbed diapers, baby wipes, a few bottles since she wasn't sure Nyla's old ones were still usable. How much? $63. Her bank account had $23 in it. Her credit card was maxed. Her debit would bounce. Can I? Her voice cracked. Can I pay you tomorrow? I get paid tomorrow. I just need. Mr. Park waved her silent. Pay me when you can. The baby needs food now. Zara's eyes burned with sudden tears. Thank you. I promise I'll pay you back. I know you will. You are good, mother. Good person. He bagged the supplies carefully. Your friend's baby, she is okay? She will be, once I get back. Then go. Hurry. Zara ran. She made it back to her apartment in 12 minutes, her lungs burning, her legs screaming. Minho was exactly where she'd left him, his eyes closed but his chest rising and falling steadily. Minji's cries had escalated to full-throated screams. Zara dropped the bags and scooped up the baby, her hands already reaching for formula and bottles. She'd done this dance 1,000 times with Nyla, the middle of the night, desperation of a hungry infant, the frantic preparation, while your baby screamed like the world was ending. She mixed the formula with practiced efficiency, tested the temperature on her wrist, and offered the bottle to Minji. The baby latched on with desperate hunger, her small hands coming up to grip the bottle. The apartment filled with the sound of sucking and swallowing, the crying finally, blessedly quiet. Zara sank into the armchair across from the couch, cradling Minji against her chest. The baby's eyes were open now, dark and alert, watching Zara's face with that intense awareness infants sometimes had. Hi, sweetheart, Zara whispered. I know tonight's been scary, but you're safe now. I promise. Minji kept drinking, her small body gradually relaxing as her stomach filled. When the bottle was empty, Zara shifted her to her shoulder, patting gently until a small burp emerged. You are natural with her. Minho's voice made her jump. His eyes were open, watching them with an expression Zara couldn't quite read. I've had practice. Zara stood, carrying Minji to the couch. Do you want to hold her? I should not. My hands are... He looked down at his blood-stained fingers. I am not clean. She's your daughter. She needs you. Zara carefully transferred Minji to his arms, arranging them so the baby's weight didn't press on his wound. There. See? You've got her. Minho looked down at his daughter with an expression of such raw love and terror that Zara had to look away, feeling like she was intruding on something too private for strangers to witness. I thought I would die tonight, he said quietly. Thought she would be alone, orphaned, with no one to protect her from the people who want to use her as leverage. But you didn't die. No. Because you would not let me. His eyes met hers. Why, Zara? The truth this time. Not the story about paying forward kindness. Why did you really help me? Zara thought about lying, about giving him the comfortable answer. But something about the way he held his daughter, about the vulnerability in his voice, demanded honesty. Because I was tired of being invisible, she said. My whole life, I've been the person nobody notices, the girl whose own parents didn't want her, the mother people cross the street to avoid, the delivery driver who might as well be a robot for all the acknowledgement I get. She sat back down in the armchair, her hands twisting together in her lap. And tonight when I opened your door, when I saw you bleeding and holding your baby, I could have been invisible again. Could have walked away, let someone else handle it, gone back to my safe, small, utterly meaningless life. She met his eyes. But I didn't want to be invisible anymore. I wanted to matter. Even if it's dangerous. Even if it gets me killed. At least I'll have mattered to someone. The silence stretched between them, heavy with understanding. You matter to me, Minho said finally. Already. You saved my life, saved Minji's life. You matter more than you know. Something in Zara's chest cracked open at those words. Something she'd been keeping carefully locked away since the day her parents told her they were done with her. Since Marcus walked out, since every door in her life had closed in her face. Don't, she said, her voice rough. Don't say things like that unless you mean them. I mean them. His eyes held hers with absolute certainty. You are brave and foolish and good. You matter. Zara Mitchell. To me, to Minji, that is truth, not comfort. Before she could respond, a phone buzzed. Not hers, his, wherever he'd stashed it. Minho shifted carefully, pulling a smartphone from his pocket. The screen lit up with a notification. His face went very still as he read it. What? Zara asked. The building. His voice was flat. The Meridian Tower. There was an explosion. Gas leak, they are calling it. He looked up, his eyes dark with fury. The entire penthouse floor. Everyone killed instantly. Zara's blood went cold. But you weren't there. You left before. Yes. Which means they detonated the explosion after I escaped, to make certain I could not return. To destroy evidence. To send a message. His jaw clenched. They are being very thorough about making sure I am dead. But you're not dead. So what happens when they realize? They will hunt. Minho's arms tightened protectively around Minji. They will search every place I might go, every person who might help me. They will be systematic and ruthless, and they will not stop until they find me. How long do we have? Hours. Maybe a day if we are fortunate. He looked at her, and the weight of his gaze felt like a physical thing. You can still walk away, Zara. Take your daughter and disappear. I will find somewhere else to hide. Where? You said every safe house is compromised. I will find somewhere. I always do. While bleeding and carrying a 6-month-old. Zara shook her head. That's not a plan. That's a death sentence. Better I die alone than take you with me. Shut up. The words came out sharper than she intended. You don't get to make that choice for me. I'm an adult. I understand the risks. And I'm choosing to help you anyway. Why? The question again. But this time it sounded almost desperate. Why would you risk your life, your daughter's future, for a criminal you just met? Zara looked at Minji, sleeping peacefully in her father's arms despite the danger surrounding them. Looked at Minho, wounded and hunted but still fighting to protect his child. Because she deserves to grow up with her father, Zara said. Because you're trying to be better than the man your father was. Because someone helped me when I was drowning, and I won't let someone else go under without trying to save them. She leaned forward, her elbows on her knees. And because I'm tired of being scared all the time. Scared of eviction, scared of debt collectors, scared of my car breaking down and losing my job. If I'm going to be scared anyway, I might as well be scared while doing something that matters, while helping someone who actually needs it. Minho studied her face for a long moment. Then he said, You are remarkable. I'm stupid. You are both. That almost smile, but mostly remarkable. A knock at the door made them both freeze. It was soft, polite, 3 measured taps that somehow sounded wrong in the middle of the night. Minho's free hand moved toward his waistband, coming up empty. My gun. I left it in the penthouse. Zara's mind raced. The fire escape. Can you climb? Not with Minji. Not in my condition. 3 more knocks. Then a voicemail, young, speaking in Korean. Minho's expression shifted from alarm to recognition, to something that might have been hope. He responded in rapid Korean, his voice low and urgent. The voice outside replied, still speaking in Korean but with a tone that suggested respect, maybe even relief. "It is Jae-sung," Minho said to Zara. "My security chief's nephew. He works in intelligence for the organization. If he found me, others may also. Or he's here to finish what the assassins started. Possible. But he is using the correct code phrases." Minho looked at the door, then at Zara. "I need to speak with him. Learn what he knows. But I understand if you want to. I'll open the door." Zara was already moving. "But if he tries anything, I'm hitting him with a frying pan. That seems fair?" Zara checked the peephole. A young man stood in the hallway mid-20s, wearing a suit that looked expensive but rumpled, his expression tense with worry. Alone, as far as she could tell. She opened the door a crack, keeping the chain engaged. "Can I help you?" The young man bowed slightly. "Miss Mitchell, my name is Park Jae-sung. I work for Kang Minho. I tracked his phone to this location. I mean no harm, I only wish to ensure he is safe." "How did you know my name?" "Your building has security cameras in the lobby. I accessed the footage, matched your face to your delivery profile." He spoke quickly, efficiently. "Please, Miss Mitchell, if he is here, if he is injured, I can help." "How do I know you're not the one who shot him?" Jae-sung's expression flickered surprise, then understanding. "Because if I wanted him dead, I would not be knocking on your door at 2 a.m. asking politely for access. I would simply take what I want." Valid point. Uncomfortably valid. Zara looked back at Minho, who had managed to sit up straighter despite his pain. He met her eyes across the small space and nodded once permission or trust. She wasn't sure which. She opened the door. Jae-sung entered with the controlled movement of someone trained for violence. His eyes found Minho immediately, and his professional mask shattered completely. "Hyungnim," the Korean word burst out of him, something like big brother or boss, Zara thought. He crossed the room in 3 strides and dropped to his knees beside the couch. A rapid burst of Korean followed too fast for Zara to catch more than the emotional tone, which was pure relief mixed with fury. Minho responded in the same language, his voice firm despite his obvious weakness. They went back and forth for almost a minute, the conversation clearly covering a lot of ground very quickly. Finally, Jae-sung switched to English, glancing at Zara. "You treated his wound?" "Best I could with what I had." "You are a medical professional?" 2 years of nursing school." Zara crossed her arms defensively. "I know it's not ideal, but you saved his life." Jae-sung looked at her with something like awe. "With minimal supplies and no training in gunshot trauma. You saved him when trained professionals might have failed. I just didn't want him to die on my floor. Blood's hard to get out of hardwood." That startled a laugh out of Jae-sung. "I like her," he said to Minho in English. "She is very practical." "She is very brave," Minho corrected. "And yes, I like her too." The way he said it made something flutter in Zara's chest, something she absolutely did not have time to examine right now. "What happened tonight?" Jae-sung asked, switching back to business mode. "I received your distress signal at 11:35. I went to the Meridian Tower, but the building was sealed off. They said gas leak, explosion. Everyone dead. They tried to kill me at an emergency meeting. When I escaped, they destroyed the penthouse to eliminate evidence." Minho's voice was cold with controlled rage. "Someone in my inner circle betrayed me. Someone with access to my schedule, my security protocols, my safe houses. Your uncle." Jae-sung said it like a certainty, not a question. "Possibly. Or someone working for him." Minho's jaw tightened. "Ji-woo abandoned Min-ji, left her alone while assassins hunted me. That suggests coordination at a high level." "Ji-woo is dead," Jae-sung said flatly. "His body was found 2 hours ago in the river. Executed." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "They are eliminating loose ends," Minho said. "Anyone who could connect the conspiracy to its source, which means they think you are dead. If they are killing witnesses, they believe the job is complete." Jae-sung pulled out his phone. "The organization is in chaos right now. No one knows who to trust. Your uncle called an emergency council meeting for tomorrow morning. He will probably try to take control." "Of course he will. He has been waiting for this opportunity for years." Minho looked at Min-ji, sleeping peacefully against his chest despite the tension in the room. "What about Sujin's family? Are they safe?" "I sent guards to watch them. So far, no attempts." Jae-sung hesitated. But sir, you cannot stay here. This location is not secure. I have a safe house. Every safe house is compromised. Not this one. It is my personal property, purchased under a false name 5 years ago. Not even my uncle knows about it. Jae-sung glanced at Zara. No offense to Miss Mitchell's hospitality, but you need medical attention from someone with actual equipment. Antibiotics, proper bandaging, possibly IV fluids. He has a point, Zara admitted reluctantly. I can keep you alive, but I can't treat infection or blood loss properly. Minho looked between them, calculation in his eyes. Finally, he nodded. How far is this safe house? 30 minutes. I have a car waiting 2 blocks away. Then we go now. Minho started to rise, grimaced, and accepted Jae-sung's supporting arm. But Zara comes with us. Both Jae-sung and Zara stared at him. Sir, that is not. I am not leaving her here. Minho's voice was absolute. She helped me. That makes her a target once they discover I survived. She comes with us, or I stay here. That's not necessary, Zara said. I can take care of myself. Can you shoot a gun? Fight off trained assassins? Disappear without a trace? Minho's eyes pinned her in place. Because that is what you will need to do when they find you. And they will find you, Zara. The moment they review security footage, the moment they trace my movements tonight, they will find you. The words hit like ice water. Zara wanted to argue, wanted to insist she'd be fine, wanted to maintain the fiction that she could somehow go back to her normal life after this. But she thought about Nyla, about what would happen if assassins came looking for her while her daughter was home, about the fact that she'd made herself visible by helping him, and in his world, visibility meant danger. What about my daughter? She asked quietly. Nyla comes home Friday. I can't just disappear without... Where is she now? With her father, Marcus. He has her until Friday. Call him, Minho said. Tell him there is a family emergency. Ask if he can keep her for an extra week. Make it sound routine. He'll ask questions. Tell him your aunt is sick. Tell him anything. But Nyla cannot come home until this is resolved. His eyes held hers. I am sorry, Zara. I know this is not what you wanted, but your life changed the moment you opened my door. Now we need to keep you alive long enough to see your daughter again. The weight of it settled over her, the full, terrible understanding of what she'd gotten herself into. But there was no going back now. She'd made her choice when she jumped in to help. Now she had to live with the consequences. Okay, she said. I'll call Marcus. Tell him I need more time. Then I'll pack a bag. You have 5 minutes, Jae-sung said. After that we leave whether you are ready or not. Zara nodded and pulled out her phone. The safe house was nothing like Zara expected. She'd imagined something out of a movie, bare concrete walls, weapons mounted everywhere, high-tech security systems blinking with red lights. What she got instead was a modest 2-bedroom house in a middle-class suburb. The kind of place where young families lived and kids played in the streets. It is invisible, Jae-sung explained, as he pulled into the attached garage. Purchased 5 years ago under the name of a fictional couple. I pay all utilities on time. Mow the lawn myself. Even put up Christmas lights. The neighbors think I am a traveling salesman who is rarely home. No one questions it. Smart, Zara admitted. They'd taken a circuitous route from her apartment, Jae-sung doubling back multiple times to ensure they weren't followed. Minho had stayed conscious the entire drive, his focus on Minji, even as pain drew lines around his mouth. The call to Marcus had been shorter than expected. He'd barely hidden his relief at having an extra week without parenting responsibilities. Yeah, sure, no problem, he'd said. Nyla's fine here. Take your time. It had hurt. How easily he'd agreed. How little he'd questioned. But at least Nyla would be safe, far away from whatever was about to happen. Inside, the house was furnished like a showroom, everything matching, nothing personal, no photographs or keepsakes. A place designed to be occupied but not lived in. There is a medical kit in the master bedroom, Jae-sung said, leading Minho down the hallway. Proper supplies this time. I will call Dr. Kim. He is discreet, asks no questions. Dr. Kim treated my father for 30 years. Minho explained to Zara. He can be trusted. The master bedroom had a king-sized bed that looked like it had never been slept in. Jae-sung helped Minho sit on the edge, then turned to Zara. Can you help him undress? I need to make calls, arrange security, brief Dr. Kim on the injuries. I can manage, Minho said. You can barely sit up, Zara countered. Let me help. Jae-sung left them alone, closing the door behind him. The room suddenly felt smaller, more intimate. Zara focused on the practical task of helping Minho remove his ruined shirt, trying not to notice the way her fingers brushed against warm skin, the way his breathing changed when she touched him. "You are gentle," he observed as she peeled away the bandages to check the wound. "You're injured. I'm not going to manhandle you." The wound looked better. No signs of infection yet. Bleeding completely stopped. "You'll have a scar, but you'll live. Thanks to you. Thanks to luck and basic medical knowledge." Zara helped him lie back against the pillows. "Don't make it into more than it is. You saved my life and my daughter's life. That is exactly what it is." His hand caught hers before she could pull away. "Thank you, Zara." His thumb brushed across her knuckles, a touch that was probably meant to be comforting but sent electricity racing up her arm instead. Zara pulled away, suddenly needing distance. "Where should I put Minji? She needs to sleep. There is a crib in the second bedroom. Jae-sung keeps it stocked with supplies in case I ever need to hide here with her." Minho's eyes tracked her movements. "You are uncomfortable. I'm fine." "You are lying." Zara stopped, turned to face him. "I just left my apartment, lied to my daughter's father, and became an accessory to whatever criminal enterprise you run. I'm allowed to be uncomfortable." "Yes, you are." He held her gaze. "I am sorry this happened. Sorry you are involved. If I could change it, but you can't. So we deal with what is, not what we wish it could be." She moved toward the door. "I'm going to settle Minji. Try not to bleed on the expensive sheets. I will do my best." Dr. Kim arrived 40 minutes later, a man in his 70s with gentle hands and eyes that had seen too much. He examined Minho's wound with professional efficiency, occasionally making sounds of approval at Zara's work. "You did well," he told her in accented English. "Very well for limited supplies and no proper training. He is lucky you found him. He's lucky he's stubborn enough to stay alive." Dr. Kim smiled. "Yes. The Kang men are all stubborn. His father was the same." He turned back to Minho, switching to Korean. They spoke for several minutes, while Dr. Kim set up an IV and administered antibiotics. "You need rest," Dr. Kim said finally in English. "Real rest. No moving, no stress, nothing that will reopen the wound. Your body needs time to heal." "I do not have time." "You do not have a choice, doctor." Kim's voice was firm. "You are no good to your daughter dead. So you rest, you heal, and you trust the people around you to handle what needs handling." He left supplies, pain medication, antibiotics, fresh bandages, detailed instructions. Zara walked him to the door, where he paused and looked at her seriously. "You care for him," Dr. Kim said. "Not a question. I'm helping him because a baby needs her father." The sound suggested he didn't quite believe her. "Be careful, Miss Mitchell. The Kang family has many enemies. Those who help them often pay terrible prices. I've already paid terrible prices just for existing. At least this time it's for something that matters." Dr. Kim's expression softened. "You are very brave, or very foolish. Everyone keeps saying that. Maybe I'm both. Maybe you are exactly what he needs. Doctor." Kim patted her shoulder gently. "Take care of them, and take care of yourself." After he left, Zara stood in the silent hallway, processing everything that had happened in the last 6 hours. At 11:47 p.m., she'd been a delivery driver, with $23 in her bank account, and an ordinary, forgettable life. Now it was past 5 a.m., and she was hiding in a safe house with a wounded Korean mobster and his infant daughter, having become an accomplice to crimes she didn't fully understand. Her life had changed completely, irrevocably, and the terrifying part was that she didn't regret it. "Zara?" Minho's voice called from the bedroom. "Are you all right?" She pushed away from the wall and went to him. He was lying exactly where she'd left him, but his eyes were alert, tracking her movement as she entered. Minji slept in a portable crib that Jae-sung had set up next to the bed, close enough for Minho to watch over her. "I'm fine," Zara said. "Just thinking. About how my life was boring 6 hours ago, and now I'm on the run from Korean mobsters." She sank into the chair beside his bed. "It's a lot to process. You can still leave. Jae-sung can take you somewhere safe, give you money to start over. Stop offering me escape routes. I'm not leaving." Zara met his eyes. "I'm in this now. For better or worse, I'm in it." "Why?" The question he kept asking, like he couldn't quite believe her answer. "Because Nyla deserves to grow up with a mother who stands up for what's right, even when it's dangerous, even when it's stupid." She leaned forward. My whole life, I've played it safe, kept my head down, didn't make waves. And where did it get me? Broke, alone, barely surviving. At least this way, at least helping you, I'm doing something that matters. Minho was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "You matter, Zara. Not because of what you do for me. You matter because of who you are. Brave, kind, stubborn. You would have mattered even if you had walked past my door tonight." The words hit her harder than they should have. Zara felt tears prick at her eyes, blinked them back fiercely. "Don't," she said, her voice rough. "Don't say things like that unless you mean them. I mean every word." His hand reached across the space between them, palm up. "An offering, not a demand. You saved my life, saved my daughter's life. I owe you everything. You don't owe me anything. Then perhaps I am choosing to give you something anyway." His eyes held hers. "Truth, gratitude, protection for as long as you need it. And if that is not enough..." He stopped, seemed to reconsider his words. "What?" Zara asked. "Nothing. I am tired. The medication is making me say foolish things." But he didn't pull his hand back. And after a moment's hesitation, Zara reached out and took it. His fingers closed around hers, warm, solid, real. They sat like that in the pre-dawn silence, hands linked, while Minji slept and the world outside continued its oblivious rotation. "What happens now?" Zara asked quietly. "Now we rest, heal, and when morning comes, I will contact my uncle and let him know I am still alive." Minho's jaw tightened. "And then we will find out who betrayed me, and why." "You make it sound simple." "It will not be simple. It will be dangerous and complicated, and people will probably try to kill us again." His thumb brushed across her knuckles. "But we will face it together, if you are willing." Zara thought about her apartment, her delivery job, her carefully constructed invisible life. Thought about going back to that after this, pretending nothing had changed, that she hadn't become someone different in the space of a single night. "I'm willing," she said, "but I have one condition." "Name it." "When this is over, when Minji is safe and you've dealt with whoever betrayed you, I want a real job, not delivering food. Something that pays enough for me to finish nursing school, get Nyla into a better situation." Minho's expression shifted, surprise giving way to understanding. "You want to use my resources for legitimate purposes. I want to use your gratitude for something that actually improves my life. Because I'm tired of being broke, tired of struggling, tired of watching my daughter grow up in poverty because I made one mistake at 23. Her voice was fierce. "So yes, when this is done, I want a real chance, a real future." "Done," Minho said immediately. "I will set up a trust fund, cover your tuition, living expenses, childcare. You finish nursing school, get your license, build the life you want. I'm not asking for charity. It is not charity. It is payment for services rendered. You saved my life. That is worth far more than a nursing degree." His grip tightened on her hand. "And Zara? When I say I protect those who help me, I mean it absolutely. You and Nyla will be safe. I swear this on Minji's life." The oath, spoken with such absolute certainty, should have frightened her. Instead, it settled something in Zara's chest, a knot of anxiety she'd carried for so long she'd forgotten it was there. "Okay," she said. "Then we have a deal." "We have a deal." They sealed it with a handshake, formal, businesslike, pretending their fingers didn't linger, pretending the touch didn't mean more than it should. Jae-sung knocked softly, then entered without waiting for permission. "I have news. The council meeting has been moved up. Your uncle wants to take control today, before anyone can challenge him. Then we will attend." Minho tried to sit up, grimaced. "Sir, you can barely move." "I can move enough to make an appearance, to let them know I am alive and their conspiracy has failed." His eyes were hard, cold. "They tried to kill me, Jae-sung, tried to orphan my daughter. I will not let them profit from that attempt. If you go to the council, you will be walking into a trap. They will be prepared for the possibility that you survived." "Good, let them be prepared." Minho's smile was dangerous. "I want to see their faces when a dead man walks into the room." Zara watched this exchange, seeing for the first time the man beneath the wounded father, the crime lord, the strategist, the person who'd inherited an empire and was fighting to keep it. This was who she'd saved. Not just a victim, but someone powerful and dangerous and utterly ruthless when necessary. And somehow, terrifyingly, she wasn't afraid of him at all. The council meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. that afternoon. Minho slept fitfully through the morning, his body demanding rest even as his mind clearly resisted. Zara dozed in the chair beside his bed, jerking awake every time Minji stirred or Minho's breathing changed pattern. Around 10 a.m., Jae-sung knocked softly and entered with coffee and food-expensive takeout that smelled better than anything Zara had eaten in months. "You need to eat," he said, setting a tray on the bedside table. "Both of you. You cannot function on adrenaline alone." Zara accepted the coffee gratefully, letting the warmth seep into her cold hands. "Has there been any news?" The official story is that Kang Minho died in a tragic gas explosion at the Meridian Tower, along with his infant daughter. Jae-sung's expression was grim. "They recovered no bodies, the fire was too intense, but they are declaring him dead anyway." "Convenient," Minho muttered, pushing himself into a sitting position despite obvious pain. "My uncle's work, no doubt." "Actually, no." The announcement came from Lee Hyun-woo. Jae-sung pulled up something on his phone, showed it to Minho. "Your second in command. He is the one calling for emergency succession protocols." Minho's face went very still as he read whatever was on the screen. "Hyun-woo? He has been with the organization for 15 years, since before my father died, which makes him perfectly positioned to orchestrate a coup." Jae-sung's voice was carefully neutral. "He knows all your protocols, all your safe houses, all your security procedures. If anyone could plan an assassination this thorough, it would be him. But why?" Minho's hands clenched into fists. "I promoted him, gave him authority, trusted him with operational decisions. Why betray me now? Perhaps you should ask him yourself, at the council meeting." "No," the word was absolute. "If Hyun-woo sees me alive before I am ready, he will bolt or attempt another assassination. I need to know who else is involved first, how deep this conspiracy goes." Zara listened to this exchange, piecing together the political complexity of the organization Minho led. It wasn't just a simple criminal enterprise, it was a hierarchy with rules, protocols, succession planning. Almost like a corporation. If corporations routinely murdered their executives, there is something else, Jae-sung said. "I accessed the building security footage from the Meridian Tower before they destroyed it. The explosion was not accidental. I can see charges being placed on the support columns." He swiped through images on his phone. "But more importantly, I found this." He showed the screen to Minho, whose expression darkened with fury. "What is it?" Zara asked. "Security footage from 45 minutes before the explosion." Minho's voice was ice cold. "It shows my uncle entering the building with 4 men. They went directly to my penthouse using a key card that should not exist, only I have access." "Someone gave him a duplicate," Jae-sung confirmed. "Someone with system administrator privileges." "Hyun-woo has those privileges. So does my head of security." Minho looked at Jae-sung. "Your uncle, Kang Dae-jung, has been head of security for 20 years. Jae-sung's face went pale. "Sir, I did not know. I swear to you, I had no idea he was involved." "I know." Minho's voice softened slightly. "If you were part of the conspiracy, you would not have found me last night. You would have let me bleed out in Zara's apartment, or killed me yourself." "I would never—" "I know," Minho repeated. "You are loyal. Your uncle is not. That distinction is important." The weight of that settled over them. Jae-sung's uncle, the man who'd trained him, raised him within the organization, was a traitor. The betrayal was personal in a way that made Zara's chest ache with sympathy. "What do we do?" Jae-sung asked quietly. "We attend the council meeting. We let them think I am still dead until I am ready to reveal myself." Minho's eyes were calculating, distant, and we watch to see who celebrates my death a little too enthusiastically. "You can barely stand. How are you going to attend a council meeting?" "I will manage." Minho looked at Zara. "And I will have protection. Multiple layers of it." "I'm not protection," Zara said. "I'm a liability. You are a witness they do not know exists. That makes you valuable." His gaze was intense. "I need someone outside the organization. Someone they will not expect. Someone who can observe without being observed. You want me to spy? I want you to watch. To tell me who looks surprised when I reveal myself, who looks guilty, who looks afraid." He leaned forward despite the obvious discomfort it caused. "You see people, Zara. You notice things others miss. That skill is worth more than weapons right now." Zara wanted to argue, wanted to point out how insane this plan was. But she looked at Minji, sleeping peacefully in her crib, and thought about what would happen if the conspiracy succeeded. If Minho died and his enemies took control, what would they do with an infant who represented a challenge to their authority? Nothing good. "Fine," she said. "I'll watch. I'll tell you what I see. but I'm not getting anywhere near the actual confrontation. I stay in the background, stay invisible. Invisible is exactly what I need you to be. Minho's expression softened. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I might be completely useless. Impossible. You have never been useless in your life. The confidence in his voice made something flutter in Zara's chest, something she absolutely did not have time to examine. Jae-sung cleared his throat. If we are doing this, we need to plan carefully. The council meets at the main compound, 50 acres, multiple buildings, high security. Getting you inside without being detected will be difficult. I still have access codes, Minho said. Unless they have been changed already. They have not. I checked this morning. Your credentials are still active, another sign they believe you are dead. Good. Then we use that. They spent the next 3 hours planning. Jae-sung brought blueprints of the compound, security protocols, guard rotation schedules. Minho walked them through every detail, his mind sharp despite the medication and blood loss. Zara listened, absorbing information that would have been incomprehensible to her yesterday. Guard patterns, entry points, emergency evacuation routes, the language of professional paranoia. You will enter through the service entrance, Minho explained, pointing to a location on the blueprint. Kitchen staff use this door. They do not check identification carefully, too much turnover, too many temporary workers. I don't look like kitchen staff, Zara pointed out. You will. Jae-sung will get you appropriate clothing and documentation. Minho's finger traced a path through the building. Once inside, you go to the council chamber. There is a viewing gallery on the second level, rarely used, designed for family members who wish to observe meetings without participating. You will watch from there. And what will you be doing? I will arrive exactly on time through the main entrance. I will walk into that council chamber as if I own it, which I do, and I will watch their reactions. They'll try to kill you the moment you appear. Possibly. But they will need to decide first: kill me immediately and reveal their involvement, or pretend surprise and wait for a better opportunity. His smile was sharp. Either choice gives me information. And information is what I need most right now. It was a terrible plan. Reckless, dangerous, likely to get them all killed. Zara should have argued, should have insisted they find another way. Instead, she said, "What about Minji? We can't bring her to a place where people are trying to kill her father. She stays here with Dr. Kim. He has agreed to watch her until we return. And if we don't return?" Minho met her eyes steadily. "Then Dr. Kim has instructions to take her to Sujin's parents. They will raise her, keep her safe, give her a life outside this organization." The fact that he'd already planned for his own death should have been chilling. Instead, it just made Zara's heart ache. "We're going to return," she said firmly. "Both of us. And then we're going to figure out how to keep you alive long enough to raise your daughter yourself." Something flickered in his expression. Hope, maybe, or gratitude. "You have remarkable faith in me. I have remarkable faith in my own stubbornness. I didn't save your life just to watch you throw it away at a council meeting." Jae-sung smiled slightly. "I definitely like her, sir." "So do I," Minho said quietly. "So do I." The council chamber. At 1:30 p.m., Zara found herself dressed in a server's uniform, black pants, white shirt, black vest, walking through the service entrance of a compound that looked like it belonged to a tech billionaire, not a crime syndicate. Jae-sung had briefed her 3 times on the route, the behavior patterns of staff, the protocols she needed to follow. Keep your head down. Move with purpose. Don't make eye contact with anyone important. You are invisible. Remember that. Invisible. The story of her life, now weaponized as an advantage. The kitchen was chaos, dozens of staff preparing for what was apparently a traditional meal following the council meeting. No one looked at her twice as she grabbed a tray and moved toward the main building as if she had every right to be there. The compound was massive. Beautiful, in a cold, intimidating way. Polished floors, expensive art on the walls, security cameras covering every angle. Zara kept her head down and followed the route Jae-sung had drawn, counting doors and turns until she reached a service stairwell. The viewing gallery was exactly where Minho had said it would be, a narrow balcony overlooking the council chamber below, accessible only through a door marked "Private," "Family Only," in both English and Korean. The door was unlocked. Zara slipped inside, her heart hammering. The viewing gallery had clearly been designed for discretion. Dark wood paneling, chairs positioned behind frosted glass that allowed visibility only from certain angles. Zara positioned herself carefully, peering through the glass at the chamber below. 12 chairs arranged in a semicircle, expensive table in the center, everything screaming power and tradition and old money. 11 of the 12 chairs were already occupied. Zara recognized no one middle-aged men in expensive suits, speaking in low voices, occasionally gesturing to emphasize points. The conversations were in Korean, too rapid for her to catch more than occasional words, but she could read body language. And what she saw was tension, anticipation. Some of them looked eager, others looked worried. One man, elderly, with silver hair and sharp eyes, looked absolutely triumphant. Minho's uncle. Had to be. The resemblance was there in the bone structure, the way he held himself with casual authority. At 1:55 p.m., a younger man entered mid-40s, handsome in a polished way, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Zara's car. He moved to the 12th chair and sat down with the confidence of someone who expected to own the room. Lee Hyun-woo, Minho's second in command, the man who'd announced Minho's death. The conversations quieted as Hyun-woo raised his hand. He spoke in Korean, a formal greeting, based on the response from the others. Then he switched to English, probably for the benefit of any non-Korean speakers present. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on such short notice. As you know, we have suffered a tremendous tragedy. Kang Minho and his daughter were killed last night in what appears to be a gas explosion at his residence. The words were appropriately somber. His expression was appropriately grief-stricken. But Zara saw the way his hands clenched briefly, the way his jaw tightened, micro-expressions that suggested he wasn't actually surprised or upset. The organization cannot exist without leadership, Hyun-woo continued. Our protocols require that in the absence of the primary heir, succession passes to the eldest living relative of the previous leader. In this case, Kang Dae-jung. Minho's uncle inclined his head graciously, accepting the acknowledgement like it was his due. However, Hyun-woo said, and his voice changed, became harder, more calculating. Before we formalize succession, we must address certain irregularities in recent months, changes that departed from our traditional methods, weaknesses that may have contributed to yesterday's tragedy. Several men nodded agreement. Zara saw the political maneuvering happening in real time. Hyun-woo building consensus, positioning Minho's death as the inevitable result of his own policies. I propose we use this transition as an opportunity to restore our organization to its proper strength, Hyun-woo said. To eliminate the softness that has crept in. To return to the methods that made us powerful. The main doors opened. Minho walked in. The reaction was immediate and visceral. Half the men jumped to their feet. 2 reached for weapons before thinking better of it. Hyun-woo's face went white, then red, cycling through shock and rage before settling on forced composure. Minho's uncle didn't move at all, just stared at his nephew with an expression that would have been comical if it wasn't so clearly murderous. Minho moved with deliberate slowness, his hand pressed subtly against his bandaged side. He was dressed impeccably black suit, white shirt, no tie. His hair was styled to hide the healing wound at his temple. He looked like he'd stepped out of a boardroom, not a murder scene. "Gentlemen," he said, his accented English carrying through the silent chamber. "I apologize for my tardiness. I was unavoidably detained by people attempting to murder me." No one spoke. The silence was absolute, shocked. Minho walked to his chair, the 12th seat, the one Hyun-woo had conspicuously left empty, and sat down with casual grace, despite the obvious pain it cost him. "Please, continue," he said. "I believe Hyun-woo was discussing irregularities. I would very much like to hear about these irregularities that apparently justified my assassination." Hyun-woo's composure cracked. "Sir, I had no idea we were told you were dead." "Yes, very thoroughly dead, killed in a gas explosion that was actually planted explosives." Minho's smile was dangerous. Fascinating how a gas leak can be so precisely timed, is it not? Zara watched from above, her heart in her throat. Every man in that room was armed. Any one of them could shoot Minho right now, end this permanently, but none of them moved. Because they were calculating, she realized. Trying to figure out what Minho knew, who had betrayed the conspiracy, how much evidence existed. "3 men tried to kill me last night," Minho continued, his voice conversational. "Professional assassins. They knew my location, my schedule, my security protocols. Someone gave them that information. Someone in this room." His eyes moved across the assembled men, lingering on each face. "I killed 2 of them. The 3rd escaped but was found dead this morning in the river, eliminated by his own employers to prevent him from talking." Minho leaned back in his chair. "Ji-woo, my bodyguard, also dead, also eliminated. A very thorough conspiracy. Almost successful." Sir, one of the older men said carefully, if there was a conspiracy, we knew nothing of it. We believed you were dead. Some of you believed I was dead. Others hoped I was dead. And a few, his gaze locked on Hyunwoo, then shifted to his uncle. A few actively ensured I would be dead. The question is how many people in this room fall into which category? The tension was thick enough to choke on. Zara's hands gripped the railing of the viewing gallery, her knuckles white. I have evidence, Minho said. Security footage showing who entered the Meridian Tower before the explosion. Financial records showing who paid the assassins. Communications logs showing who coordinated my security failures. He was bluffing, at least partially. Zara knew they didn't have all of that, not yet. But the guilty parties didn't know that. I am giving one chance, one single chance, for those involved to come forward now. Minho's voice dropped to something cold and absolute. Confess your involvement. Explain your motivations, and I will consider mercy. But if I have to uncover the truth myself, mercy will not be part of the conversation. No one moved. No one spoke. Then Hyunwoo stood up. I will not apologize, he said, his voice steady despite the rage in his eyes. You were destroying everything your father built, making us weak, negotiating with enemies who should have been eliminated, prioritizing civilian safety over organizational profit. He gestured around the room. Half this council agreed with me. They wanted the old ways restored. They wanted a leader who understood that strength, not compassion, is what keeps us alive in this business. So you tried to kill me. So I tried to save the organization from your incompetence. Hyunwoo's hand slammed down on the table. Your father was a warrior. You are a bureaucrat playing at leadership. The moment you took control, you began dismantling everything that made us powerful. Someone had to stop you. Minho nodded slowly, like this confirmed something he'd suspected. And my uncle? Was he part of this plan? All eyes turned to Kang Dae-jung, who'd remained silent throughout the confrontation. The older man smiled a cold, calculated expression. Your father knew you were too soft to lead properly. He told me so before he died, asked me to watch over you, guide you, and if necessary, he paused, correct your mistakes, by murdering me and my infant daughter. Minji is half white, a stain on the family line. She would have been, he waved his hand dismissively, dealt with appropriately. And you would have been memorialized as a tragic loss. The organization would have moved on under stronger leadership. The casual way he discussed murdering a baby made Zara's blood boil. Her hands clenched into fists, every maternal instinct screaming. Minho's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes went very, very cold. I see. And how many others in this room share your opinion? His gaze swept across the assembled men. Who else believed my daughter's life was worth less than organizational purity? Who else voted to have her killed? Silence. Heavy, damning silence. Then 3 men raised their hands. Zara counted. 5 conspirators total, Hyunwoo, his uncle, and 3 council members who'd just admitted to conspiracy to commit murder. Minho looked at each of them for a long moment. Then he stood, his movement careful but steady. You are all relieved of your positions, effective immediately. You will leave this compound within the hour. If you are still within city limits by midnight, I will consider that a declaration of war. You cannot do this, his uncle said. You do not have the authority. I have every authority. I am the legitimate heir. I survived your assassination attempt, and I have evidence that will send every one of you to prison if you contest my decision. Minho's voice was absolute. Leave now, with your lives. Or stay and face the consequences. Your choice. Hyunwoo laughed a bitter, angry sound. You think you have won? You think this is over? He leaned forward. You barely survived one assassination attempt. There will be others. Your enemies are patient, and eventually one of them will succeed. Perhaps, but it will not be you. Minho gestured to the door, where Jae-sung and a dozen armed men had appeared. Escort them out. Make sure they understand the terms. Jae-sung moved forward with military precision, his expression carefully neutral, even as he faced his uncle, the man who'd trained him, who'd been like a father to him within the organization. Uncle, he said quietly in English, please do not make this harder than it has to be. The older man spat at his feet. Traitor, you side with weakness over family. I side with honor over ambition. Jae-sung's voice was steady. Now leave. While you still can. The 5 conspirators left, surrounded by armed guards. The chamber slowly emptied until only Minho remained, standing alone at the table. Zara watched him from above. watched as his shoulders sagged slightly, as the careful composure cracked just enough to show the exhaustion and pain beneath. He'd won. He'd confronted his betrayers and emerged victorious. But victory looked like it cost him everything. She made her way down from the viewing gallery, moving through the building with the same careful invisibility she'd used to enter. The service corridors were still busy, but she navigated them easily now, finding the route back to the kitchen and then out to where Jae-sung had parked their car. Min-ho was already there, leaning against the vehicle with obvious effort. His face was pale, his breathing labored. The confrontation had cost him more than he'd let anyone see. "You did it," Zara said, approaching carefully. "You survived. You won." "I survived," he agreed. "Whether I won remains to be seen. 5 conspirators exposed. Your position secure. Sounds like winning to me. 5 conspirators who will not simply accept exile. They will regroup, plan, strike again when I am vulnerable." His eyes met hers, and she saw the exhaustion there, physical and emotional. "I bought time. Nothing more. Then we use that time to make you stronger, to rebuild, to create something better than what your father left you." Zara moved closer, close enough to see the way his hands trembled slightly. "But first, we get you back to the safe house before you collapse." "I do not collapse. You're about to." She slipped her arm around his waist, supporting him. "Come on. Minji needs her father conscious enough to feed her." That got a faint smile. "You are very practical. Someone has to be." Jae-sung drove them back to the safe house, reporting updates as they traveled. The 5 conspirators had left the compound as ordered. Surveillance teams were tracking their movements. No immediate threats detected. "But sir," Jae-sung said carefully, "they will not stay quiet for long. Hyun-woo in particular, he has resources, connections. He will try to rally support. Let him try. Anyone who sides with him marks themselves as enemy." Minho's voice was tired but firm. "Send message to all remaining council members. Emergency session tomorrow morning. We will discuss new protocols, new security measures, new leadership for positions that are now vacant. You need to rest. I need to secure my organization before it fractures completely." His hand pressed against his bandaged side. "But yes, after tomorrow's meeting, I will rest." They arrived at the safe house to find Dr. Kim reading in the living room while Min-ji slept peacefully in her portable crib. The doctor took one look at Min-ho and sighed. "You pushed yourself too hard. The wound is bleeding again." He gestured toward the bedroom. "Come, let me examine you properly." Min-ho followed without argument, a sign of how much the day had cost him. Zara stayed with Min-ji, watching the baby sleep and processing everything that had happened. She'd watched powerful men casually discuss murdering a child, watched political maneuvering that made her delivery job's petty dramas look absurdly simple, watched Min-ho risk his life to protect his position and his daughter. And through it all, she'd stayed invisible, watching, bearing witness to crimes that should have terrified her. But she wasn't terrified. She was angry. Angry that people like Min-ho's uncle existed. Angry that power and tradition mattered more than a baby's life. Angry that the world was so fundamentally broken that criminal organizations were sometimes the only option for people the system failed. "You are thinking very loudly," Min-ho's voice said from the bedroom doorway. He'd changed into clean clothes, the bandage on his side fresh and white. Dr. Kim hovered behind him with clear disapproval at his patient moving around. "Just processing," Zara said. "Today was a lot." "Yes, it was." He moved to sit beside her, his movements careful. "You did well. Your observations from the gallery helped me understand who was nervous, who was confident, who was guilty. I didn't do anything except watch. Watching is something. Bearing witness matters." His hand found hers on the couch between them. "Thank you, Zara. For everything." She looked down at their linked hands, at the way his fingers threaded through hers like it was the most natural thing in the world. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now I rebuild. Create something stronger than what I inherited. Something that does not require murdering children to maintain power." His eyes moved to Minji. "Something she can inherit without shame. That's a big goal. I have time." And apparently, he looked at her, his expression soft. "I have help. If you are still willing." Zara thought about her apartment waiting empty, her delivery job that would never pay enough, her daughter growing up in poverty because the system had failed them both. "I'm willing," she said. "But I have questions." "Ask them." "Your uncle," said Minji, was half white like it was a problem. "But you loved her mother. Why does anyone else's opinion matter?" Minho was quiet for a long moment. "My father was traditional. Old-fashioned. He believed in pure bloodlines, ethnic loyalty, all the prejudices of his generation. When I told him I wanted to marry Sujin, a white woman from Colorado, he was furious. His thumb traced circles on Zara's palm. But I loved her, and I would not let his racism keep me from happiness. So we married despite his objections, and when she became pregnant, he finally accepted her. Pain flickered across his face. She died giving birth. Complications that happened too fast for doctors to prevent. And my father died 6 months later, never having met his granddaughter. I'm sorry. My uncle inherited my father's prejudices without his eventual acceptance. To him, Minji is not legitimate heir, she is proof of my weakness. My failure to prioritize the organization over personal desires. He looked at Zara directly. That is why they targeted her. Not just to hurt me, but because they genuinely believe she pollutes the family line. That eliminating her would be doing the organization a favor. The casual racism made Zara's jaw tighten. And the other council members? How many share that view? Some, not all, but enough that Minji will always be vulnerable if I do not change the culture fundamentally. His expression hardened. Which is exactly what I intend to do. Starting tomorrow. Dr. Kim cleared his throat. You need rest, both of you. Today was traumatic. Tomorrow will be difficult. Sleep now while you can. He was right. Zara felt exhaustion pulling at her, the adrenaline of the day finally wearing off. I should take the guest room, she said, starting to rise. Minho's hand tightened on hers. Stay, please. I do not want to be alone tonight. The request was vulnerable in a way his earlier statements hadn't been. Not a command from a crime lord, but a plea from a wounded man who'd nearly died and was trying to process everything that meant. Okay, Zara said. I'll stay. They settled on the massive bed, Zara on one side, Minho on the other, Minji in her crib between them. Dr. Kim dimmed the lights and left them alone. In the darkness, Zara heard Minho's breathing even out, heard the soft sounds of Minji dreaming, heard her own heartbeat gradually slowing. Zara? Minho's voice was barely a whisper. Yeah? Thank you for seeing me, for not letting me be invisible when I was dying. Her throat tightened. You were never invisible to me. Silence. Then, neither were you. From the moment you opened that door, you were the most visible person in my world. Zara didn't know how to respond to that. Didn't know how to process the way his words made her chest feel too small and too full at the same time. So she just said, sleep. Tomorrow you have an organization to rebuild. Tomorrow, he agreed. But tonight, we rest. And in the darkness of the safe house, surrounded by the quiet breathing of people who'd somehow become her responsibility, Zara finally let herself sleep. Morning came with soft light filtering through blinds Zara didn't remember closing. For a confused moment, she didn't know where she was. This wasn't her apartment, wasn't Marcus's place, wasn't anywhere familiar. Then memory flooded back. The penthouse, the blood, Minho nearly dying in her arms. The council meeting where powerful men had casually discussed murdering a baby. She sat up carefully, her body aching from sleeping in an unfamiliar bed. Minho was already awake, sitting on the edge of the mattress, with Minji cradled against his chest. He was feeding her a bottle, his movements gentle despite the obvious stiffness in his posture. You should still be resting, Zara said quietly. She was hungry. I could not let her cry. He glanced at Zara, and something in his expression made her breath catch. Good morning, morning. She pushed her hair back, suddenly self-conscious. She'd slept in her clothes, probably looked like she'd been through a war. How's your side? Painful, but manageable. He adjusted Minji slightly. Dr. Kim changed the bandages this morning while you slept. He says I am healing well. No infection. That's good. That's... Zara stopped, watching the way Minji's small hand curled around Minho's finger, the way he looked at his daughter with such unguarded love. You're a good father. His eyes met hers. I try to be. It is difficult when my world is so dangerous. When people want to hurt her simply because she exists. Then we change your world. Make it safe enough for her to exist without fear. We? He caught the word, his expression shifting. You say we as if you plan to stay. Did she? Zara thought about her apartment, her daughter coming home Friday, her normal life waiting for her. Except nothing about her life felt normal anymore. She'd crossed too many lines, seen too many things, become too entangled in Minho's complicated, dangerous existence. I don't know, she admitted. I don't know what I'm doing or what I want. I just know I can't walk away yet, not until I'm sure you and Minji are safe. That could take months, years, even. Then I guess I'm in it for the long haul. Minho studied her face for a long moment. Then he said, very quietly, I am falling in love with you. The words hit Zara like a physical blow. She stared at him, her mind completely blank. I know it is too soon, he continued, his voice steady despite the vulnerability in his eyes. I know you barely know me, that I have brought nothing but danger into your life, but I cannot help it. From the moment you refused to let me die, from the moment you chose to help despite every logical reason not to, I have been falling. Minho, you do not have to say anything. I am not asking for reciprocation. I am simply telling you the truth. His hand tightened on the baby bottle. You deserve honesty. After everything you have risked for me, you deserve to know where I stand. Zara's heart was racing, her thoughts a chaotic mess. She should run, should distance herself before this became more complicated. I don't know what I feel, she said finally. Everything's happened so fast. 2 days ago, I was delivering food and worrying about rent. Now I'm hiding from assassins and watching crime lords plot murders. I can't process feelings on top of everything else. I understand. But, she met his eyes. But I don't want to leave. Not yet. Maybe not for a while. So if that means something, if that's... She gestured helplessly. I don't know what that means. Minho's expression softened into something that might have been hope. It means you are giving me time. That is more than I have any right to ask for. Minji finished her bottle and let out a small burp. The mundane sound broke the tension, made them both smile. She has excellent timing, Zara observed. She is her mother's daughter. Sujin always knew when to interrupt serious moments. Pain flickered across his face. She would have liked you. You are similar in many ways, strong, stubborn, unwilling to back down from what is right. Tell me about her, Zara said impulsively. If you want to. Minho was quiet for a moment, his eyes distant with memory. Then he began to speak. We met at a charity gala, the kind of event where wealthy people pretend to care about causes while networking. She was there representing a nonprofit that helped trafficking victims. I was there because my father insisted the organization needed legitimate business connections. His thumb traced patterns on Minji's back as he talked. She called me out. Right there in front of everyone. Said she knew what my family did. Knew we profited from the same systems that created the victims her organization tried to save. Asked how I could stand there in an expensive suit and pretend I was not part of the problem. Zara smiled slightly. She sounds fearless. She was. Absolutely fearless. I tried to argue with her, defend myself. She destroyed every argument I made. And by the end of the conversation, I was in love with her. His expression was soft with memory. I started donating to her nonprofit, then volunteering, then asking her to coffee. She said no 5 times before finally agreeing. What changed her mind? I told her I wanted to be better, that she made me see how broken the system was, how much harm my organization caused. I asked if she would give me a chance to prove I could change. He looked down at Minji. She said yes, and for 3 years, she helped me try to transform the organization into something less destructive, more strategic, more focused on services rather than exploitation. That's what your uncle and the others opposed, the changes she inspired. Yes, my father hated her at first, called her a distraction, a weakness, but she won him over eventually. She had that effect on people, made them want to be better versions of themselves. His voice cracked slightly. And then she died giving birth to our daughter, and I lost the one person who made me believe change was possible. Zara's throat tightened with sympathy. But you kept trying anyway, kept pushing for those changes even after she was gone, because she died believing I could build something better. I cannot let that faith be for nothing. He looked at Zara. And now you are here, reminding me why I started this, making me believe again that change is possible. I'm not her. No, you are yourself, just as strong, just as stubborn, just as unwilling to accept that things have to stay broken. His eyes held hers. And I am grateful for that, for you being exactly who you are. Before Zara could respond, Jae-sung knocked on the doorframe. Sir, the council is gathering. They are ready when you are. Minho nodded, his expression shifting back to business mode. He handed Minji to Zara carefully. Will you watch her while I handle this? Of course. And Zara? He paused at the door. Thank you. For listening. For not running when I told you the truth. I'm not good at running, she said. I'm too stubborn for my own good. That got a genuine smile, the kind that transformed his whole face. Then he was gone, leaving Zara alone with Minji and a tangle of emotions she didn't know how to process. The emergency council meeting lasted 3 hours. Zara didn't attend, didn't want to, if she was honest. She'd seen enough of that world yesterday. Instead, she stayed at the safe house with Minji, Dr. Kim, and her own thoughts. Dr. Kim was surprisingly good company. He told her stories about Minho's father, about the organization's history, about the delicate balance between criminal enterprise and community support that the Kang family had maintained for 3 generations. They are not good people, Dr. Kim said carefully. But they are not entirely bad either. In neighborhoods where police do not come, where banks do not lend, where the system has failed, the organization provides services. Protection, loans, justice of a sort. That doesn't make it right. No, but it makes it complicated. He looked at her over his reading glasses. Minho is trying to make it less complicated, to provide the services without the exploitation. It is ambitious, possibly impossible, but worth attempting. Do you think he'll succeed? I think he has a better chance now than he did 3 days ago. Dr. Kim's eyes were knowing. Because now he has someone who sees him, not as a crime lord or an heir or a political piece, but as a person trying to be better than his circumstances. Zara felt her cheeks warm. I barely know him. You know him well enough to risk your life for him. Well enough to stay when you could have run. That is not nothing, Miss Mitchell. Before she could respond, the door opened. Minho entered, followed by Jae-sung. Both men looked exhausted but satisfied. It is done, Minho said, sinking onto the couch. New council members appointed, new security protocols implemented, new focus on legitimate business expansion rather than illegal operations. They accepted this? Zara asked skeptically. They accepted reality. Without me, the organization fragments into chaos. With me, they have stability and a path forward. He rubbed his eyes. It helps that I control most of the financial assets. Money has a way of making people agreeable. Jae-sung smiled slightly. 3 council members asked to resign rather than support the new direction. Sir accepted their resignations. So you have fewer allies now. I have allies who actually believe in what I am building, rather than those who pretended loyalty while plotting betrayal. Minho's expression was firm. That is better in the long term. And your uncle? Hyunwoo? The other conspirators? Under surveillance. They have made no moves yet, but they will. Hyunwoo is too ambitious to accept exile quietly. His jaw tightened. But we will be ready when they strike. Zara shifted Minji against her shoulder. The baby had been fussy all morning, clearly picking up on the tension around her. What about Minji's safety? If your enemies are still out there, I am arranging permanent security. A dedicated team reporting only to me, vetted personally by Jae-sung. Minho's eyes moved to his daughter. She will never be unprotected again. I swear this. And what about going back to normal life? To your penthouse? Your routines? There is no going back. The Meridian Tower penthouse is destroyed. My previous life is finished. He leaned back against the couch. I am building something new. Starting fresh with people I can trust. That sounds lonely. It is, but it is also necessary. He looked at her directly. Which brings me to something I need to discuss with you. Zara's stomach tightened. What? Your apartment is compromised. By now, the conspirators will have reviewed all security footage, traced my movements, identified everyone I came into contact with that night. They know you helped me, so I can't go home. Not safely. Not yet. His expression was apologetic. I am sorry, Zara. You are caught in this now, through no fault of your own except choosing to help someone in need. She'd known this was coming. Had felt it in the back of her mind since the moment she'd opened his penthouse door. But hearing it stated so clearly still hit like a punch to the gut. What about Nyla? She comes home Friday. I can't just disappear on my daughter. No, you cannot. Minho leaned forward. Which is why I am proposing a solution. It is not perfect, but it is the best option available. I'm listening. Move into one of my properties. A house, not an apartment. 3 bedrooms. Full security. In a good school district. I will provide everything you need. Furniture, supplies, protection. You and Nyla will be safe there. Zara stared at him. You want me to move into your house? A house I own, yes, with separate bedrooms, separate spaces. This is not, he gestured between them. This is not an attempt at impropriety. This is me keeping you safe because you saved my life. I can't afford. You are not paying rent. You are accepting compensation for services rendered, and protection from enemies I brought into your life. His tone was firm. This is not charity, Zara. This is me fulfilling my obligation to protect those who help me. And in return, what do you want from me? Minho was quiet for a moment. Help me raise Minji. Not as a nanny or an employee, as a friend who understands what she will face growing up half Korean in a world that judges her. As someone who can teach her to be strong the way you are strong. You're asking me to be part of your family. I am asking you to be part of her life, to help me give her something better than I had. His eyes were intense. And yes, if you choose to also be part of my life, I would welcome that. But I will not pressure you. The house is yours regardless of what you decide about us. It was too much. Too fast. Zara's mind raced through implications, complications, all the ways this could go wrong. But she thought about her apartment cramped and unsafe, in a neighborhood where gunshots were background noise. Thought about Nyla growing up in that environment, absorbing poverty and fear like they were inevitable. Thought about the alternative Minho was offering. Safety, space, a chance for her daughter to grow up somewhere better. I need to think about it, she said finally. Of course. Take whatever time you need. He stood carefully. In the meantime, you are welcome to stay here. The safe house is secure, and Dr. Kim enjoys the company. I do, Dr. Kim confirmed from his chair. Miss Mitchell is very good at cards. She has taken $60 from me already. That startled a laugh out of Zara. You let me win. I absolutely did not. You are simply better at bluffing than I expected. The moment of levity broke some of the tension. Minho smiled, genuine and warm. I have calls to make. But Zara, whatever you decide, know that I am grateful. For everything. He left with Jae-sung, leaving Zara alone with her thoughts and a sleeping baby. He means it, Dr. Kim said quietly. About the house, the protection, all of it. The Kang family does not make empty promises. I know. That's what scares me. Zara looked down at Minji. What if I'm making a mistake? What if this all falls apart? What if it does not? Dr. Kim countered. What if this is your chance to build something better? For yourself, for your daughter, for this child who needs people who love her. Zara didn't have an answer for that. She called Marcus that afternoon, her stomach in knots. Hey, he said, his tone already defensive. If this is about keeping Nyla longer, I can't. I've got plans this weekend. It's not about that. Zara took a breath. I need to talk to you about something important. About changes in my living situation. She explained carefully a new job opportunity, better pay, a house in a safer neighborhood. She didn't mention Minho, the conspiracy, any of the dangerous truth. Just the surface facts that Marcus would accept. So you're moving? He sounded suspicious. Just like that? The opportunity came up suddenly. It's a live-in position, childcare, and household management for a family. They're providing housing as part of compensation. Sounds sketchy. It's legitimate. I've had background checks, references, everything. The lies came easier than they should have, and it means Nyla gets her own bedroom, a backyard, a good school district. Everything I couldn't give her before. Silence on the other end. Then, how much does this job pay? Enough that I can start saving for her college. Maybe even finish my nursing degree. That part was true. At least. I know it's sudden. But it's the kind of chance I can't pass up. More silence. Zara could hear him calculating, trying to find the angle that benefited him. Fine, he said finally. But I still get her every other week. I'm not giving up my time just because you got some fancy new job. Relief flooded through her. Of course. The same schedule. I just wanted you to know about the address change. Yeah, whatever. When are you moving? This weekend. Fast. Suspicion crept back into his voice. The family needs someone to start immediately. It's why they're paying so well. Zara kept her tone light, casual. I'll send you the new address once I'm settled. Everything else stays the same. Okay, I guess. He hesitated. I guess congratulations or whatever. Sounds like a good opportunity. Coming from Marcus, that was practically a blessing. Thanks. Can I talk to Nyla? She's at the park with my mom. I'll have her call you tonight. Okay. Tell her I love her. Yeah, sure. He hung up without saying goodbye. Typical Marcus, present enough to fulfill minimum obligations, absent enough to avoid real parenting. But at least he'd agreed. At least Nyla would have stability, safety, a chance at something better. Zara found Minho in the safe house's small office, working on a laptop with Jae-sung. They both looked up as she entered. "I'll take the house," she said, "and the job helping with Minji. But I have conditions." Minho closed the laptop. "Name them. I finished nursing school. You said you'd pay for it. I want that in writing. Full tuition, books, everything. Done. I want a salary, not charity, not gifts. Actual employment with a contract and everything legal. I need to be able to support myself and Nyla if this all falls apart. Reasonable. What salary do you consider fair?" Zara named a figure that was 3 times what she'd made delivering food. Minho nodded immediately. "Done. Is there anything else?" "Separate bedrooms, separate lives outside of childcare responsibilities. I help with Minji, you provide safety and stability, but we maintain boundaries." She met his eyes. "I need space to figure out what I want without pressure." Something flickered in his expression. Disappointment. Maybe. Or understanding. "Of course. Whatever boundaries you need. I will respect them absolutely. Then we have a deal." Zara extended her hand. Minho stood and took it, his grip warm and firm. "Thank you, Zara, for trusting me with this. Don't make me regret it. I will do everything in my power to ensure you do not." Jae-sung cleared his throat. "I will arrange the house today. Furniture, supplies, security installation. You can move in this weekend." "That fast?" "We are very efficient when motivated." He smiled slightly. "And Sir is very motivated to keep you safe." Heat crept up Zara's neck. "Right. Well, I need to pack. Figure out what I'm bringing." "Bring everything," Minho said. "Whatever you need from your apartment, Jae-sung will retrieve it safely. You will not have to return there yourself." "What about my landlord?" "My lease. Already handled. I purchased the building this morning." He said it casually, like buying an entire apartment building was a minor detail. "Your landlord is now my property manager. He has been informed you are moving but will receive compensation for breaking the lease." Zara stared at him. "You bought my building. It was a good investment. The property has potential. You bought my building to make sure I could leave without complications." "Yes." No apology in his voice. "I told you, Zara. I protect those who help me." "Absolutely. It should have been overwhelming. Should have felt like too much, too fast." Instead, Zara felt something settle in her chest, the sense that for the first time in years, someone actually had her back, someone powerful enough to change her circumstances and willing to do it. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You are welcome." His eyes held hers. "Now come, let me show you the house. I want to know if you approve." The house was in a suburb Zara had only driven through, never imagining she'd live there. Tree-lined streets, good schools, the kind of place where children rode bikes without fear. It was a craftsman-style home, 3 bedrooms with hardwood floors, and a backyard that seemed impossibly large, fully furnished, fully stocked, fully equipped with security that was invisible but comprehensive. "The master bedroom is yours," Minho said, walking her through. "The 2nd bedroom is set up for Nyla. The 3rd is Minji's nursery. Where will you sleep?" "I have another property nearby. A smaller place, more secure. I will visit during the day to help with Minji, but I will not stay here overnight unless you request it." "You're giving me a house and not even living here?" "I am giving you safety and space. This is your home, Zara. I am simply a visitor." She didn't know what to say to that. The gesture was too large, too generous. But Minho seemed to understand her silence. "This is not about obligation," he said gently. "This is about giving you and your daughter what you deserve. What you should have had all along. I barely know you. Then get to know me. We have time." He moved to the window, looking out at the backyard. "My offer stands, Zara. The house is yours. The job is yours. No conditions, no expectations, beyond helping me care for Minji. And if I decide I want more than that, or less, then we adjust. We figure it out together." He turned to face her. "I am not asking you to decide your future today. I am simply asking you to stay long enough to see what that future could be." Zara walked through the house again, her mind spinning. She opened closets to find them stocked with clothes in her size, checked the kitchen to find it fully equipped, looked in Nyla's room to see a twin bed, a desk, bookshelves waiting to be filled. This wasn't just a safe house. This was a home. "Okay," she said finally. "I'll stay. But Minho." "Yes? If you hurt my daughter, if you put her in danger, if any of this criminal world touches her, I'm gone. Deal or no deal, I'm gone." "Understood." His expression was absolute. "Nyla will be protected as carefully as Minji." You have my word. Then let's do this. Let's see if we can build something that works. Minho's smile was brilliant, transforming his whole face. Thank you. You will not regret this. I better not. 3 months later, Zara woke to sunlight streaming through windows she'd picked the curtains for herself. Her bedroom, actually her bedroom, not a rental, not temporary, was exactly as she'd designed it over the past 3 months. She could hear Nyla's laughter from downstairs, followed by Minho's deeper voice saying something in Korean. More laughter. Her daughter had adapted to the new house faster than Zara had made friends in the neighborhood, thrived in her new preschool, absorbed the presence of Minho and Minji like they'd always been part of her life. Zara made her way downstairs to find absolute chaos in the kitchen. Minho stood at the stove, attempting to make pancakes while simultaneously holding Minji. Nyla was helping by adding chocolate chips to the batter, far too many chocolate chips. Good morning, Minho said, looking up with a smile. We are making breakfast. It is going terribly. I can see that. Zara took Minji from him, settling the baby on her hip. How about I supervise while you actually cook? I am an excellent cook. You burned water last week. That was one time. Nyla giggled. Mommy, Mr. Minho is funny. Mr. Minho is many things. Zara met his eyes over her daughter's head, something warm and complicated passing between them. Funny is definitely one of them. They'd fallen into a routine over the past 3 months. Minho visited every day, spending mornings with Minji while Zara attended her online nursing classes. Afternoons were shared, both of them caring for both children, navigating the strange blended family they'd created. Evenings, Minho left, returned to his other property, maintained the boundaries Zara had requested, but those boundaries were getting harder to maintain. She'd catch him looking at her sometimes with an expression that made her heart race, would find excuses to touch his arm, his shoulder, his hand. The attraction between them was obvious, undeniable. They just hadn't acted on it yet. Jae-sung called, Minho said, flipping a pancake with more confidence than skill. Hyunwoo was spotted in Tokyo, trying to build alliances with rival organizations. Should I be worried? No. His attempts are failing. The other organizations see him as unreliable, someone who betrayed his own boss. Minho smiled grimly. Loyalty matters in this world. His betrayal marked him. And your uncle? In hiding. His resources are limited. He is not an immediate threat. But eventually, I will deal with him. But not today. Minho transferred pancakes to plates. Today, we eat chocolate chip pancakes and pretend the world is not complicated. The world is always complicated. Then we pretend anyway. They ate breakfast together, Nyla chattering about preschool, Minji making baby sounds from her high chair, Minho and Zara exchanging glances that lasted a little too long. After breakfast, Nyla went to play in the backyard. Minji went down for her morning nap. Suddenly, Zara and Minho were alone in the kitchen. I have been thinking, Minho said quietly, about boundaries, about whether they are still necessary. Zara's heart began to race. What are you saying? I am saying I have respected your space for 3 months, have not pressured you, have not pushed. But Zara, he moved closer. I am still falling. Every day, I fall more in love with you, and I need to know if you feel anything similar or if I am hoping for something impossible. She could lie, could maintain those boundaries, keep things safe and uncomplicated. Instead, she said, You're not hoping for something impossible. His breath caught. I am not? I'm terrified. This whole situation terrifies me. But, she stepped closer. But I think I'm falling too. Have been falling since the moment you trusted me with Minji. Since you gave me a chance at something better. That is not enough reason to love someone. Gratitude is not love. I know. But this isn't just gratitude. Zara's hand found his chest, felt his heart hammering beneath her palm. This is me choosing to see you not as a crime lord or a dangerous man, but as someone trying to be better. Someone who loves his daughter enough to change his entire world. Someone who kept his promises to me even when he didn't have to. Zara, I'm not ready for anything serious. I'm still figuring out who I am outside of survival mode. But if you're willing to be patient, to take things slow. He kissed her. It was gentle, tentative, nothing like Zara expected. His hand cupped her face like she was something precious. His mouth moved against hers with careful reverence. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, Minho's eyes were bright. I can be patient, he said. I can take things as slowly as you need, as long as you let me be part of your life. You're already part of my life. You're part of Nyla's life, part of... She gestured around. Part of everything now. Then perhaps we move forward together, building something new, something that is ours, something better than what came before. Yes, exactly that. They stood in the kitchen, foreheads pressed together, while morning light painted everything gold. Outside, Nyla's laughter rang through the yard. Upstairs, Minji slept peacefully. This wasn't the life Zara had imagined when she'd accepted that delivery 3 months ago. Wasn't the safe, simple existence she'd been trying to build. It was complicated, dangerous, built on foundations that probably shouldn't work. But it was hers, chosen, deliberately, built with someone who saw her, really saw her for the first time in her life. What happens now? She asked. Now we live. We raise our daughters. We build something better. Minho's hand found hers, fingers lacing together. Together. Together, Zara agreed. And in that moment, in that kitchen filled with morning light and the promise of something new, Zara Mitchell finally stopped running from her own life. She jumped into dark water to save a drowning man. And somehow, impossibly, they'd both made it to shore. Thank you for being here. Beautiful souls. If this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share where you're watching from. Your support means everything and helps us continue bringing you these powerful stories of love, redemption, and second chances. Until next time, remember, sometimes the bravest thing we can do is choose to see someone when the world has made them invisible. Take care of yourselves and each other.